Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to PyroFalkon's Let's Play Extravaganza, where it's your Let's Play 2. Today is May 24th, 2015. If you are watching this on YouTube, please join us on Hitbox every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we try to do audience interaction games, and today is an audience interaction game. I had a different game planned for the stream, but I couldn't work it out for some reason, so this time we're going to be playing Choice of the Deathless, a choose-your-own-adventure novel similar to Choice of Robots by a different author, however. And we will be playing by committee as usual. This will be a two-parter, so it'll be super fun. You can buy this game on Steam through a link in the video description, as well as check out the channel. So let's bring up that window, turn off the annoying background marquee, and here we go. I have the order taken in turn here, so we will play this by committee. So this is Choice of the Deathless by Max Gladstone. The sky over the demon world is broken. Lightning licks the strange geometries of cloud. Around you rises the demon city Agarath. Agargath. Something. Warped crystal and flame, thorns and razor wire. And this is the nice part of town. Gods, you hurt. Your skin's a burned ruin. Bones in your ribs grind when you breathe. Your suit hangs in tatters from your body. Your enemy stands before you, a towering figure of glass and knives. Cackling madly, he raises one hand. Dark power crackles along his talons. The battle's taken almost all your strength. Your craft, your own power, stands at ebb. If you don't win this thing soon, you're done. So now our first choice, and I have the honors here. So, I'm gonna just run and hide. I'm scared. I'm scared of knives and glass. Discretion is the better part of valor, or at least surviving long enough to think up a plan. You sprint left down an alley and burst through a loading dock into what, in your world, would be the back room of a clothing store. The mannequins and racks of garments are interspersed with what looks like displays from a torturer's supply company. Footsteps approach. Glass grinds underfoot. The shop has plenty of hiding spaces, and you only have a few seconds to choose. The Akamura is up first. Which of those options would you like to do? Do you hide in the supply closet, disguise yourself as a mannequin, or crouch behind a rack? By the way, the reason the Akamura isn't talking is she's feeling a little under the weather. In fact, we weren't even sure she'd be able to join us for the stream, but she's in the chat, so she is able to play. The Akamura chooses to hide in the supply closet. You dive into the closet and pull it shut behind you. Softly, slowly, so he won't hear the click. You're in a dark, close space, surrounded by pointy objects. Hope you don't have claustrophobia. So, Tink is up first of the viewers in the chat. So, do you have claustrophobia? You do? Not really. Or, would you have hidden in a closet if you had claustrophobia? Select one of those three options, please. Tink selects, would I have hidden in a closet if I had claustrophobia? Maybe. You can't hide forever, he says from the alley. He steps inside. What's your plan, if you have one? TC, you have the choice. Which of those three options would you like to pick? TC selects, once he's close enough, we spring our trap. You don't have much power, and you didn't have much time, but enough at least to draw a little craft circle on the floor in your own blood. A channel for power. And with a word, you let that power loose. The storeroom shatters and thousands of glass shards sweep toward him, sharp enough to cut him into ribbons. And then they stop in midair. And he laughs. Well, it was a nice idea, at least. He closes his clawed hand into a fist. You crouch, ready for the attack. He's powerful, but arrogant. If you just hold out a few seconds more, you'll find some angle, some way to beat him, as long as you can keep it together. Then claws of light and power strike you, and you shatter. That was a depressing start. Your mind comes to pieces, and the pieces tumble, sharp, spinning. Seconds come unmoored from seconds. Shards catch and reflect images of a once familiar life, your past spinning out of reach. You have to fight back, have to stop them, defend yourself. So hard to think. What does thinking mean anyway, outside of time? You scramble amid the shattered, jagged facets of yourself. They cut your fingers, and blood flows into memory. This is some excellent writing. You must remember. You must fight. You are... Hells. Who are you anyway? There must be an answer here amid the slivers and glass confetti, among the kaleidoscope shapes. If you could only grasp it. You don't even have hands with which to grasp, or a body, for that matter. No, you have one. You remember. You are... And Tech Guru has the choice. Are we male or female? Tech, please let me know in the comments. The chat. God, I say those words interchangeably. It doesn't matter. But anyway, let me know in the chat, Tech Guru, which of those we are. Tech Guru says in the chat, let's see how being a woman affects this. Will do. You are a woman. Your name. If you could just remember. Names tie lives together. Knit memories to memories. And your name is... Nuked Piggy gets the choice on our name. So we can be Jamie Sarah Bahati. Bahati? Am I pronouncing that right? Ailing or something else entirely. So what is our name, Nuked Piggy? The Akamura suggests Lady Boner McFuckstick, but it is Nuked Piggy's option. So Nuked Piggy, what I'm putting it on you, buddy. What name do you want to give our hero for this Lord Voldemort? Okay. That is okay, that what I have just typed is literally how Nuked Piggy spelled it. So we are Lord Voldemort. That's only it. That's only part of it. Lord Voldemort. Oh, that's our first name. So our first name is Lord Voldemort. So, NP, since you're naming us, go ahead and tell me which of... We can use the surnames Kang, Gaspard, Cavendish, Bly, Shepherd, or something else entirely. And again, I will give you the option. Kang. Okay, we are Lord Voldemort Kang. How did you get here, Lord Voldemort? So many alternative pasts, so many options. Dream shards, timepieces. Childhood, the first stirrings of power. You caught a falling star in a dead field and held it burning in your hands. Smelled the sweet iron of space and the world's heat as fiery fingers crawled over your skin and into your flesh. Alright, I have the call. I closed my hands, I released the star, I ate it, or I watched it die. Well, obviously I ate it. Why wouldn't I eat it? You pressed the star past your open lips, tasted lightning on your tongue, and swallowed. Liquid metal seared your esophagus, and you fell back onto the dead grass, screaming. Galaxies wheeled above you, moonlight unbearably sharp. You closed your eyes, but that only replaced the punishing stars with another vision. This is the world beneath the world, a vast net of souls in exchange, a pulsing network of life and story and bargain and consequence. You see the terms of the great deal, the arguments and conditions upon which your world depends. You could join that bargain, shape it, but first you had to grow up. And growing up presented its own challenges. You were... The Akamura gets the choice between those four options. Apparently, Tech Guru is specifically naming us that as a portmanteau of Lord Voldemort and Walmart. Or, yeah, Nuked Piggy, my bad. The Akamura chooses poor. A scrapping farmer's child on the edge of the desert. Your people survivors of the God Wars. The city lights always beckoned behind the horizon, and your infant stirrings of power grew. You set your sights upon the hidden schools where professors who have slain gods in a single combat teach their dark craft to the next generation. You developed in those conditions, from child to woman. Here's a cutting, trembling shard of lips and skin. A first kiss. Alright, Tink, you have the floor, so you can choose either a girl we knew or a boy we knew, basically making us either hetero or homosexual. Please select one of those two options in the thing. Tink selects A Boy I Knew. A bright afternoon, a brief rest, a pressure of lips and hands and bodies. Neither one of you was very good at kissing or at anything else you tried, but it was a start, and it was sweet. You wonder what became of him. You'll never know. More flashes from your years at the hidden schools where you studied the dark arts men call craft. A century ago, you would have been burned at the stake for learning these skills, how to raise the dead from their graves, how to hold the power of the gods in your own hands. Then the God Wars happened, and humans won. The hidden schools rose in defiance of divine authority, and life became a lot better for people who chose to twist natural laws into their whims. People like you. You see, you remember one of 4 options, and TC has the pick. Please select one of those 4 to continue the story. TC selects Sneaking Through and Around the Rules. You climbed the 7-fold tower in a thunderstorm to see the light that played among its many tines. What you saw there, you've never told a single soul. Professors warned you to stay within the rules, not to meddle in matters you lack the context to comprehend. Yet you were the first in your class to wake a corpse from slumber. Admittedly, it attacked the freshman dorms and started a zombie plague that almost infected the whole school. Nobody tied that to you, though. At least, not officially. You learn the hidden names of Professor Halcyon. How is that pronounced? I feel like an idiot for not knowing how that word's pronounced, because I know Halcyon, because isn't there a... No, I'm thinking of something else. Halcyon? Anyway. You learn the hidden names of Professor Halcyon. You found 6 of the 7 immaterial volumes of the Great Library. You think you caught a glimpse of God, or a god at least, in the outer reaches of the astral plane. Once. You were probably a bit unhinged, but damn if you weren't unhinged in style. The hidden schools were a realm of darkness and study, but no one ever accused the students there of monastic discipline. What pleasures did you indulge in? What loves? What faces? What bodies reflect in the falling shards of what used to be yourself? Tech Guru has the floor. Select one of those 4 options, which I guess also sets our sexuality as well as our naughtiness during those times. Tech Guru selects that he is too interested in power. There was no time for love. You walked a path. No needs of the flesh would tear you from it. And then you graduated and went to work. Craig Tower rises like a black needle over the sprawling Shikaw skyline. To the east stretches the Great Water, slate gray, broken by white chalk-line waves. Below and off to the west, broad gridded streets map the earth between buildings the size of city blocks, and beyond these lie older, red brick neighborhoods that never quite recovered from the God Wars. Varkath Nebuchadnezzar Stone occupies the top 20 floors of the Craig Tower. Your new office, your first office ever, is a cubby on floor 35, toward the lower bound of VNS territory. It's empty, but for you and the few personal possessions you're moving in, a single box piled high with craftwork books, and on top of them, a few teetering personal effects, including a daguerreotype of your graduation. You look so proud. You set the box down and sag into your chair. You hear the subtle shift in the box and turn in time to see the picture fall. So NP, what do you do with the picture? You can select any of those 3 options. And while Nuke Piggy thinks he wants to see our stats, Lord Voldemort Kang. Oh, so we have Charm, Craft, Cunning, Determination, Sleep. Okay. Whether we're a gunner or socialite, our soul, our $200,000 money debt, and then I guess those are people we're having relationships with. And, oh, hey, it's a brief guide of the stat block. If you're interested, go ahead and pause here and read those. Well, debt. Your student loans are a daily drain on your life and sanity. Yeah, I feel that one. Okay. Nuked Piggy selects the last option. Why catch it? More interesting to fix it with the craft once it's broken. The falling picture strikes the left side of the... Why did I say left? The falling picture strikes the side of the desk, and then the carpet. You kneel beside it. Cracks spiderweb your beaming face. You set your hand on the glass, exhale, and set about convincing the glass that they should be one piece. Not much time has passed since the break, and all these pieces of glass do, in fact, come from the same source, so the convincing isn't hard. The cracks squeak as they seal shut. Light flickers and fades around you as you work. Fixed, the glass is weaker than it once was, but if you don't break it again, you should be fine. As you set the picture on the desk, though, you notice that you're bleeding. Must have cut your thumb while fixing the glass. And so my choice, so no big deal. I bandage my thumb and get on with my life. You wrap your thumb in tissue paper to stem the bleeding, which should help. You hear a knock on the door, and a second later it opens to admit Cassowary Chen, another first-year associate at Varkath Nebuchadnezzar Stone. She started a week ago, same as you, and for both of you, the last 7 days have been a solid wall of training. She's borne it well, better than you feel you have. Like you, Cass wears a dark gray skirt suit. She's intense, 5'5" or so, dark hair, expressive features, given to sharp, broad gestures with her hands while talking. She glances down at your thumb with concern. Are you okay, Lord Voldemort? And the Akamura, how would you like to respond to her? Of those 5 options. The Akamura chooses, oh, it's nothing. She looks skeptical. Nothing, huh? Well. Anyway, she says, Pat and I thought we might meet for dinner this casino night, before this casino night orientation thing. Pre-game a little. You want to come? So, Tink, what do you say? Do we go along with her to meet for dinner? Let me know in the chat. Tink selects, I'd love to. Great! She shoots you a thumbs up and scribbles down the address of a bar not far from casino night. We'll meet there at 7, okay? Then she's gone in a flare of jacket and skirt and clicking heels. If you want to meet her by 7, you'd best get home. You have some work to do. You're still living out of boxes, and it would be nice to stop that one of these days. You have barely enough time to get home, unpack a little, and return. Lucky for you that it's still the first week of training. In a month, once the work picks up, you doubt you'll ever see a sunset that's not filtered through glass. Too many dead men to be raised, gods to be rustled, laws of reality to be violated. You know, the usual life of a craftswoman. Home waits, though, for now. And where is home, anyway? Rent's higher closer to the office, but the closer you are, the shorter the commute. And short commutes mean more sleep, which makes everything in life easier. So, TC has the choice of where we live relative to the office. TC selects that we tried to compromise between price and convenience. A trolley takes 20 minutes to escape the steel and glass titans of downtown and reach the brownstones and brick of the garment district, which, so far as you've been able to determine, has nothing to do whatsoever with garments or the textile industry these days. Not for the first time, you wonder if you shouldn't have tried to find a job nearer to the place you grew up, where you knew the history and the territory. But in this business, you go where the work is. You were lucky to get a chance at Varkath Nebuchadnezzar. The market's as harsh as it has been in years. Speaking of rent and commutes and similar topics, what kind of life are you living exactly? By which I mean, when you left the hidden schools to embark on this path of high thaumaturgy, thank you, the Akamura, you were carrying about 200,000 thaums in debt. Currently, your soul's only worth about 1740. Your soul, lovely. Your salary's 160,000 thaums. Let's say 100,000 after all your various fees and obligations to the city of Shikaw are handled. Debt, obviously, is debt. The hidden schools lay claim to your soul and all its future products. As long as you carry this debt, you'll never be free. Mad necromancers can and will haunt you to the ends of the earth. So that said, how much of your salary, after you take care of rent and living expenses, goes toward debt? And how much is it yours to spend? And Tech Guru has the option. How would you like to, how is our debt management here? And Aqua Lightning has joined the chat. Aqua Lightning, we are doing a choose your own adventure game. If you wish to play, let me know, and I will add you to the end of the rotation. Tech Guru selects, there's no sense in making myself miserable. I'll balance debt repayment with my own wants and needs. Your apartment is a mess of boxes, piles by the door, in the hall, in the center of the room. You have a bed and pillows, but that's the limit. Everything else is cardboard and packing tape. You glance ruefully at your watch, set down your briefcase, and start unpacking. At this rate, you might have time to do something other than unpack and go to firm functions sometime around 2 months from now, though that's an optimistic estimate. You manifest a knife out of your own soul stuff and start tearing open the boxes. You'd have used something more prosaic, but your knives and scissors are, of course, packed. Damn it. You haven't looked at your watch in a while when you hear a knock on the door. Answering it, chain in place of course, you discover to your surprise, Ashley Wakefield. You haven't seen Wakefield since graduation. You sort of hope never to see her again. Ash Wakefield of the Southern Wakefields, the scion of a high family, and everyone in the hidden schools knew it. Affluent, blonde, brilliant, and sculpted out of marble, metaphorically, though you never got close enough to check. Kelethers, Albright, and Ow, one of the world's most prestigious craft firms, hired Wakefield straight out of the hidden schools as an associate in their Chicago office, and she made certain everyone knew. Perhaps she was just excited. That'd be a charitable way to look at it. King, she says, it's been a while. Since we're both going to this party, I decided I might as well visit another lonely and bereft graduate in this dismal city. It doesn't seem right to keep Wakefield waiting outside, so you undo the lock on the door, step aside, and let her in. She glances around the piles of boxes without betraying the slightest hint of disdain. Wakefield conveys disdain quite well enough without having to betray it. So what do we say to her out of those 4 options? And Nuked Piggy has the... Yes, Nuked Piggy has the floor. Please select one of those 4 options. Nuked Piggy goes, ugh. And door in face. Okay. So Nuke Piggy selects, I knew I should have shut the door in your face. Always too little, too late. I could make you leave. But why? Wakefield turns on her heel to face you and spreads her arms wide. I came to invite you to dinner. I've been forced to attend this particular brand of interfirm madness, and drinks and a vague excuse for intelligent conversation might provide an appropriate stimulant for the early evening. How would you like to respond, Aqua Lightning? Also, why am I able to do voices, or I should say lines, of snooty characters like perfectly right on the first try, but when it's just normal speech, I stumble over my words? Aqua Lightning selects, I'm meeting some friends for dinner, but you're welcome to come. Flattering, Wakefield says. Much as I would relish being immersed in your social pool, and from the tone of voice you can tell she means the shallow kind with cattails around the edge, of vague green scum on top, and an unpleasant stench hanging about, I shall keep my own company, another time perhaps. Another time, you say, and escort her to the door. You arrive at the Horseshoe a few minutes after 7 and shoulder your way through the barside crowd past the hostess's stand into the dining area. Fortunately, you see Cass before the hostess catches up with you. She half stands, waves, and smiles. Pat turns too and smiles even broader, but he doesn't stand, doesn't wave. He's a big guy, a slow mover, but smart. Older than you and Cass too, old for an associate. Dignified, short curly hair, dark skin, Iskari cuffs on his pressed shirts. He has a family, even from what you've heard. A wife at home and a kid on the way. The waitress swings by. What'll you have? My choice, and I'm selecting an apple teeny for an inside joke between the Akamura and me, which will not be explained further. I'll get right on that. You drink and eat and talk, and before long the conversation turns, as it always does, to work. This time the subject is goals, and specifically Cass Chen's lack of them. I don't know, she says. Working for the firm develops skills and connections and all that. But in the end, so much of what we do is abstract god damn it, thaumaturgics? I guess? Anyway, it doesn't connect to people, to human lives. What does it matter if a concern recognizes an extra % of profit? To the many who work for that concern, Pat Waby? Because I think NG is a W? Anyway. Nwabe? I don't know. Pat replies, an extra % of profit, or a fraction of it, might matter a great deal, and regardless, we must think of our own lives and careers before we ponder abstract injustice. It is enough, I think, to care for our families, and for those close to us. When the world's suffering? Chen shakes her head. What do you think, Lord Voldemort? What do you want What do you want out of your work with the firm? And the Akamura has the option of those 4. Nuked Piggy says, Appletini, the fuck, we are weird people. Yes. Yes, we are. And the Akamura selects, what again? I'm sorry. She selects, I don't know about you, but I always wanted to amass infinite power and laugh over the corpses of my enemies. A traditionalist, says Pat with a wide smile. I'm not joking, Chen says. Neither am I. You try to keep a straight face, but can't manage for long. She wads up a napkin and throws it at you. Ah, these characters are adorable. I, Pat says, will make partner. Once I have established a place for myself and my family in this city, then my children can concern themselves with personal gratification, not to mention this nebulous giving something back, with which cassowary seems so concerned. Now you're just being mean, Cass says. And it's not like I don't want to succeed, I just think there's more that we're supposed to do here than try to get as big as we can until we explode. Pat raises his beer in a salute. Bigger is better. You know what I mean, Cass says. Not really. The conversation spins on for a while, but time's wasting, and you're all more than fashionably late already. You get the check and head out to casino night. Varkath Nebuchadnezzar, Kelethres, Albrecht, and Au, and a few other firms have rented out a swanky waterfront restaurant. A chandelier dangles from thin gold chains over a room swarming with craftsmen and craftswomen clad in pinstripes and slick silk. Cocktail glasses clink, dice thud, and roll over green felt tables. Everywhere you hear the flushed bird sound of shuffled cards. Outside and overhead, a few stars have survived the onslaught of the city lights. They glitter over the black waters of the lake. You wander the floor for a moment to take everything in, and score a drink from the bar. When you turn back, you take inventory of the room. The ever-practical Pat last name is playing blackjack. The best odds on the floor given perfect play. You know, I've thought about doing Hoyle 3D Casino for a stream. I think everyone would find that boring as fuck, but I'm still thinking about doing it. Actually, that would be a good idea, because then you guys could play with me. That'd make for an interesting stream. Anyway, Cass Chen flits from conversation to conversation. She's on her second cocktail of the night, not counting her dinner's drinks. This may not end well for her. Ashley Wakefield should be milling with the rest of the KAA crowd, standoffish and superior as always, but she's not. You find her at one of the poker tables seated next to... oh, gods. That skeleton in green, with the hands of cold iron and the glyphs burning on the pate of his bared skull, and the mask of cured leather. That's Golan Varkith. As in, the named partner Golan Varkith. You've seen his portrait, but you've never seen him in person before. So, what do you do next? Tink, what do we do next? Please let me know in the chat. Tink selects, we want to win all the souls we can. You close your eyes and scan the room. In the dark beyond your eyelids, the games appear as glowing webs woven by drunk spiders and blown by a strong wind. The transfer of soul to soul, from casino to players, and from one player to the next. Webs of transactions bound by the rules of the game. Gambling's like a smaller scale version of the craft. No wonder so many in your line of work are drawn to it, though craftsmen and craftswomen aren't known for their general attraction to risk. The many lesser games pale when set beside the poker table where Varkath plays. It folds and collapses upon itself, erupting into the darkness of your mind. Alright, so who's up? TC, you can select, I guess, go to that poker table or later and see more of the party first. Please select one of those two options. TC selects, that's it. That's the one I want. You join Varkath, Wakefield, and a few other monsters at the table. The goddess of the game hovers above the felt, shifting and glorious, calling each player in turn to his or her destruction. No sense waiting. You sit down. Wakefield looks up from the cards. Decided to button up your trousers and play in the big leagues? Bitchy. Tech Guru, how do we respond to her? Select one of those four options. Tech Guru selects. To the rest of the table, we say, has she been this bad all night? Varkath says nothing. Neither does anyone else. The big blind this deal is a craftswoman who's replaced her skin with scales, and the little blind's Varkath. You glance at your cards when the bet comes around to you, and raise. What's your plan for the evening? And NP, you have the selection. You have 5 choices there. Let me know in the chat. Nuked Piggy selects, I want to taste as many souls as I can and see what I can learn. Because Nuked Piggy is staying in character as apparently a very evil person. Here's the thing about playing poker. Every time you bet, a portion of your soul flows into the goddess in the center. It doesn't leave until you fold or until you lose, which means that if you're careful and you go in a lot, you might be able to feel the contours of other players' souls. Who knows what you might be able to learn? So you throw yourself into the game, not because you want to win, but because you want to know. What a delicious page. And you learn. Oh my, you learn. Impressions at first, a wash of emotion. But over time, you can suss out the cold edges of Varkath's soul. Wakefield's hot and swift like an eel in warm water. The reptile woman's massive and grinding like toothed gears. Over the course of the evening, you dance around their souls, pulling images from them, and once, even, from the edge of Varkath's dreams, you feel what it's like for a god to die beneath your hands. Maybe you could have lived without knowing. You don't win. You lose quite a bit, in fact. But you learn. The game breaks by unseen agreement, and the goddess returns your souls. The dance of cards is done. You rise, stretching against tense muscles, and stagger off to the bar for a drink. Before you travel far, though, you hear a voice behind you, harsh and melodic in weird directions, like a house key scraped over a violin string. Ms. Kang, a pleasure to play with you. You turn and see Varkath. Sir, his mask is painted to resemble a young man's face, perhaps his from a long-vanished youth. You think the mask is made out of cowhide. You fervently hope it's made out of cowhide. All the stolen wisdom in the world won't help if you lose too much of your own soul to make that wisdom good. How do we respond to that? Who's up? Lost my... Aqua Lightning is up. Please select one of those 4 options as our response. Aqua Lightning selects, what were you hoping to see? Some spark, he says, and turns away. You feel exhausted. Long day, long night, and more long days to come. Many more of them, if this life works out the way you planned. Chen and Pat are talking at the edge of the dance floor. They look like they're ready to go. Meanwhile, the dance itself is heating up. And you see some people there you wouldn't mind heating up as well. And there is always the bar. Not to mention your bed, though it seems so far away right now. And I am up, and all right, since we apparently are making this character like less concerned about you know, the naughty things, I don't think we would dance. We're not going to rest cuz that's some bullshit. Fuck it. Let's go get some drinks. The night is young. They're reluctant at first, but by the time you find a bar, they've both warmed to the idea. Pat at least is flush with soul stuff off a successful evening, and you dance and toast and drink and have a grand old time, free from the watchful eyes of partners. The night blurs together in drunken memory, but it was worth it, though you won't think so come tomorrow morning. And when finally you reach your own bed, you fall into it and keep falling, tumbling like a shard of glass through the darkness. Interlude. Broken. Okay. The image slips and fades, but the blood remains. You are more than you were, or at least you remember more than you once remembered. You're still falling in pieces in this darkness from which you cannot return. More sparks and slivers of falling memory tumble around you. You grope still for memories, for changes. You passed your first year at the firm. Little decisions altered your world day by day. What changes do you grab out of the cascading broken mirrors? All right, you have 3 options here. The Akamura, the 4th one that you paid off your student loans, is not available, which is interesting because that implies that you could have somehow made 200,000 thoms at some point during that first delay. It's interesting. Anyway, so I guess you really have 2 options. It's basically you move to a new apartment, or you changed how much you saved, or you just didn't change anything at all. So the Akamura selects, I didn't change anything at all. And so you reach for another shard of your own spinning mind, another reflection of a screaming face you barely recognize as your own. You stand in a dark room inside a glowing pentacle and hold a knife of lightning to your wrist. Somewhere a clock strikes midnight. You hold back a yawn. Too much work recently. Always too much work. Anyway, it's time to work, as always. You press the knife point into your skin. A drop of blood wells up. You pull the blade away, and the blood drop falls, round and reflective to the floor. And when it splashes there, you fall too. You fall into the world of gods. The material realm breaks around you, and for a moment, you feel yourself a gnat passing through a beam of light, revealed to enormous beings who normally would not notice something so small. But in this instance of exposure, they might well reach out and destroy you for their own amusement or only to pass the time. You leave the light and find your destination. You hover before a wall woven by spiders out of silver webs. Most of the patterns are abstract, but a few resemble faces, the faces of people you know, screaming. This has been the last 3 months of your life. Transdimensional thaumaturgics, your client, contacted with the demonic consortium of Akargath to build an enormous hydro project in the southern Catholic jungle. The demons then claimed the project was as much their property as TT's, which would give them a foothold in your world, a territory through which they could pass at will from their reality to yours, unlimited by the bonds of a summoning contract. They would stride across the earth like gods. Obviously, this is a bad outcome. You've been tasked with document review and minor ward maintenance. How have you been handling those responsibilities? Tink is up. Select one of those 4 options and let me know in the chat. Tink selects, I'm working in a team with my colleagues. Many hands make light work, and one advantage of working with a big firm like Varketh Nebuchadnezzar is that you have many hands available. Of course, working so closely with others reduces your chance of looking like a hero, but there are more important things than heroism. Success, for example. You spend hours combing through the contract wall, comparing it point by point on the written descriptions of the deal TT offered you. This is a bigger version of the classic summoning contract, in the same way a container ship is a bigger fishing boat. The principle's the same at least. Demons hail from a realm parallel to your own. Local laws of physics don't bind them. When offering demons a path into your own reality, a good summoner can define their powers to exceed those of most humans. But if demons could pass into your world without a clear contract, they would lack limits, singularities of possibility striding unrestrained across continents. And singularities are bad. A few demons were unleashed back during the God Wars, and the world still shudders from the consequences. So you review the deal again and again. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, you say the words no one connected with the craft ever wants to say or hear. Huh. That's funny. You barely trust your own eyes. Fortunately, you have another pair to hand. What? That's an awkward sentence. Fortunately, you have another pair to hand. Cass Chen is also working late. Hey, Cass, can you take a look at this? She flies over from her portion of the wall. These last few months haven't worn well on Cass. She has dark circles under her eyes and her face looks strained. What's the problem? You show her. There's a hole in the wall. A tiny hole, but demons don't need much room to wriggle through. We need to tell someone about this, she says. You nod and rise into the real world. You stumble back into your own skin. Flesh fits tight after freedom and your wrist hurts like hell. Mouth dry, world whirling, you turn for the door. Have to grope twice in the dark to find the handle. You wander down the ghost-lit hallway outside, looking for someone, anyone. Soon you find Vega. Halcyon Vega. How is Y pronounced? I always forget how that's pronounced.
Halcyon?
No, they're like the letter Y, it's Spanish. Y by itself. Anyway. Elegant, tall, slim, dark-eyed, and vicious. Lately of counsel and a rapid climber in the firm. He's in charge of the warding project, among other things. He seems shaken, perhaps by the look on your face. What happened? TC? Let me know. What happened? Among those 4 options. TC selects, we found something. There's a hole in the web, you say. Looks like the contract isn't as complete as we thought. You didn't think his brow could furrow much deeper. Does it look like the demons know? No. We'll bring it up at the morning meeting, he says. And Lord Voldemort? Good job. Get some rest, okay? How do we reply? Tech Guru, you have the floor. Select one of those 3 options. Tech Guru selects, I am not leaving yet. There's still work to do. Fair enough, he says. Well, looks like I need to prepare for the meeting tomorrow. I'll see you then. He walks off down the hallway, leaving you alone with your work. The next morning, you meet the client in a nightmare. It's a straightforward nightmare as these things go. An immense, scaly, 1,000-footed beast lies belly up, and a table rests on a stretch of its stomach. You and the others sit on the beast's upturned feet. Everyone is here. Damien Stone, the named partner in charge of the case, a heavy, dark craftsman in his late 60s. Vega, in a press suit jacket. Cass Chen, you. Not to mention the client himself, an executive of TT, a thin, pale man in a black suit. You know him only as John Smith. The world warps around him, and the stuff of nightmares bends. The meeting wheels through old business to new. Smith watches with cold black eyes and seems almost bored, not at all as if your work is the only barrier between his firm and demonic invasion. At last, Stone clears his throat, leans forward in his chair, cracks his knuckles, and asks if anyone has new business. In fact, Vega says, last night I discovered a weakness in the contract, a minor hole related somehow to definitions of ownership. I'll send you the details. We will need any documents you can provide connected with this matter. Of course, Smith says. Smith's voice is so ordinary you don't so much hear his words, so much as assume them. I'll have the documents sent. And that's all. No mention of your discovery, no mention of Cass. Across the table, you see Chen swell with rage. Vega's taken your thunder, as well as hers. She opens her mouth. What do we say? And, Nuked Piggy, you have the floor. How do we respond? Select one of those 3 options. Okay, Nuked Piggy selects, I correct Vega's claims myself. You start talking before Cass can speak. Thank you, you say, though nobody addressed you. Just keep moving your mouth and you should be fine. We were surprised to discover this yesterday. The more information we have, the better. I would have preferred, Smith says, to learn this earlier. But he doesn't press the issue. Stone smiles. You don't know why, and that worries you. Vega, for his part, goes pale. The nightmare ends and you, Vega, Stone, and Cass wake in the 40th floor conference room. Vega stands, brushes off his jacket, and excuses himself quickly. Cass rises, flushed, obviously struggling to keep herself under control. She runs the table, but before she can reach you, someone speaks. Ms. Kang, I find myself desiring coffee. Would you care to accompany me? It's Stone. And from what you know of partners, this doesn't sound like a request. So what do we say? Aqua Lightning, you have the floor. Select either of those two options. Okay, Aqua Lightning selects. Actually, I have a meeting with Ms. Chen. Maybe in a half hour? Stone frowns slightly. No, unfortunately, I'm busy in a half hour. Another time, perhaps. He nods to you, the barest minimum motion required for the gesture to qualify, and departs the conference room. For a man his size and bearing, depart is undoubtedly the proper verb. Leave doesn't take long enough to say. That is beautifully worded. You turn back to Cass, whose anger has been replaced by open disbelief. You escort Cass into her office and close the door behind you. Cass sits back in her chair and swears, softly, in a shining Empire dialect you don't recognize. She opens her eyes and stares up at the ceiling. You sense she's waiting for you to talk. And I am up, so I will encourage her. We'll be fine, you say. Vega just tries to play the game. So we should smile while he steals our work? Your work? No, that's why I interrupted him. And you. But it's dangerous. Cass blinks. Why, Lord Voldemort? You do care. Sometimes. She sighs. Vega's a jerk. How do we reply, the Akamura? One of those 4 options, please. The Akamura selects, don't worry about him. We can get through this week if we can get through this if we stick together. Why the hell did I think the word week was in there? My brain is not full, altogether functional words. Together, huh? She looks at you for what feels like a very long moment. Her eyes are dark. Of course you know that, but for some reason you really notice it now. Together sounds good. You excuse yourself and return to your office, to your work. You sit down at your desk, ponder your pen and your knife, and the journeyman craft circle etched into the hard wood. How do you work, knowing all that you know now? All that you now know. I don't like it when the words are in that order. Anyway, Tink, you are up. Select one of those 4 options, please. Tink says, I work as closely with Chen as I can. Safety in numbers. You and Chen need one another. You check one another's work. You visit one another's offices when questions come up. Neither of you claims responsibility for the other's insights. Over time, you build an implicit trust and a reputation as a good team, which you hope reflects well on you both. 3 weeks into your ongoing review of Smith's documents, Cass takes a brief vacation. Her cousin's getting married. I'm so sorry, she says on her way out the door. I wish I could stay. And how do we reply, TC? Select one of those 4 options. TC selects, I wish you could too. She laughs and then leaves. You stay later than usual that evening, tying up loose ends. At 10 o'clock at night, you take a break and rise from the desk, leaving a bowl of blood to cool. Ew. Your joints creak and crack as you proceed to the break room. It's empty, or so you think at first. You pour yourself coffee, sip it, make a face, and turn. Movement in the dark. You tense at first, then recognize Vega. He leans against a table, coffee mug in hand. The perfect hair looks mussed, and there are lines on his face you didn't see before. He looks up. His eyes are vacant. How do we deal with this situation? Tech Guru, you have the floor. Select one of those 3 options. Tech Guru responds, I act friendly. You look tired, you say. Is everything all right? He shakes his head. Why should you care? Just making conversation. He smiles, a ghost of a smile. I am tired. Late nights, recently. No rest for the wicked, I guess. The more wicked, the less rest. He laughs. Ugh. Plenty of rest when we're dead. It is strange to be exposed, he says. You work and you work, and at a certain point, you realize that all your work only gives your enemies more chances to watch you fail. How do we respond to this? Nuked Piggy has passed his turn, so Aqua Lightning is up. Please select one of those 4 options. Aqua Lightning selects, is there anything I can do to help? Vega looks up at you in surprise. You know, that's the first time in a long while around here that anyone has offered to help me. As a human being, I mean, rather than as a craftsman. Thank you. He finishes his coffee. The offer itself is appreciated, even if there's nothing you can do beyond performing your duties admirably. Thanks, you say. I think. He laughs. The two of you walk together back to your separate offices. Silent, he drifts closer to you. 2 warm bodies alone in the overwhelming shadows of the darkened, mostly empty office building. As you part, he hesitates. Thank you. He's standing just on the edge of close, though maybe you're imagining it. Okay, I'm up, and sticking with the role-playing that we've selected so far, I'll just say, good luck. No reason to smooch him. And to you as well, he says, and turns away. The next day is a weekend, but you're in the office as usual. And as usual, the male golem shows up at 2. Aw, I want a male golem. That'd be adorable. Well, assuming a golem is like knee height. Be a little scary if it was Dragon Age golems. Those things are huge. Anyway, as usual, the male golem shows up at 2, bearing packages from around the world. You receive nothing, but you do hear it scuttle on many legs into Cass's office and set down a heavy package on her desk. With the golem gone, when the golem's gone, you step into Cass's office and glance over the package. It's a thick document box marked with the ID glyph of the TT case. Several red urgent stamps glare at you from the sides. You open the box. After all, you told Cass you would. As you rip open the parcel, you feel the world grow a step darker, or possibly brighter. Something's here. You know it. You spread the papers out on Cass's desk and shuffle through them. Carbon copies of an executive whose name you don't recognize from the TT board list you've memorized over the last few months. And yet, here's a letter, a simple letter in plain Catholic, which represents the dam as a joint project and notes how it will offer both our firms a foothold in new territory. This is it. This is the whole. It's small, but if the demon hordes of Akergath claim TT executives represented the dam as a joint project, they might be able to push for joint ownership. And from there, you have a sudden image of demonic hordes sweeping out into the deep jungles of southern Cath to breed and grow and infest. The Akamura is up. What do we do with this box? The Akamura selects, I need help. I bring the box to Vega. Vega's working through the weekend, like you and like always. You run breathless into his office, interrupt his drafting of a summons, and explain what you found. I don't know what we should do, he says. This is big, and we need it fixed fast. We should call Stone. He seems reluctant. And Tink, you have the next option. Select one of those 3 to reply to him. Tink selects, we can fix it together. He nods, slowly. A good idea. Together. I can think of a few steps that will help if you assist me. This would be the perfect place to let him down, but you decided against that already. You nod. Let's go. You can see why Vega's on the fast track for promotion, and it's not just because he has a powerful patron. Overstressed, overtired, he's still a genius. You start to wonder if all he needed was your encouragement. But what the hells? At least it worked. Once shaken out of his distress, Vega moves through the building like a lightning spark moves between clouds, swift, shining, and aflame. He dispatches messages by Raven, Rat, and Nightmare to members of the firm you've never heard of before. He summons dark powers to his beck and call. Glyphs along the length of his body burn with silver flame, and the sclera of his eyes dim to black. You enter the land of the gods again to block up the gap in the contract together. As you carve new lines into the darkness of the gods' domain, you see beyond the gap the writhing glass talons of the demon plane, and hear sounds quite like screams. And then at last, You go to notify the client. No nightmares for this. There's no time, and nightmares are too susceptible to observation. The firm keeps a dedicated scrying mirror on the 41st floor, and there you and Vega turn out the lights and speak 3 times the secret name of the man called John Smith. Cobweb razors brush your face, and he stands before you both. Normal as ever, an unassuming man in an unassuming suit with a chilling, angular smile. You watch and learn as Vega presents your discovery. And the solution, at least when set atop all the other work you've done this afternoon, will need to claim that you kicked this executive out because you discovered he was working against TT's interests. Incompetence might also work. If we can establish that, then we can minimize the effect of his letter. Her letter, Smith corrects. And that grin, that broken grin, it grows. But we've won, haven't we? The mirror dims. The light returns. Vega steps back, sweating, and for a moment, just a moment, he lets himself sag. Human, after all that. A human being with a human smile. Then he turns to you, laughs, and wraps you in a big hug. He smells of expensive cologne and relief. He draws back, suddenly embarrassed, but still smiling. Drinks are on me tonight. I'll meet you down at CJ's. And he leaves, swinging his arms. Jaunty. You turn to leave. But as you go, a glimmer of light from the mirror catches your eye. Smith stands in the mirror, waiting. You feel alone. Lonelier, even, than you would have felt without him there. What do you want? You say at last. I wonder, he says. How would you describe the inner workings of your team? And Tech Guru is up. Please select one of those 3 options to reply. Tech Guru selects, so you can use that against us. No thanks. Touching loyalty. I wonder whether those you serve are worthy of it. A pleasure talking to you, Smith says. I'll see you again soon, I hope. And he vanishes, leaving you victorious and alone. You and Vega head across the street to CJ's together, grab seats at the bar, and toast to success. The world's safe, at least for tomorrow. You touch glasses and laugh and let the last few hours' terror recede. You celebrate the victory in style, with restraint, or with a cup of tea and an early bedtime. I believe Nuked Piggy... Oh, Nuked Piggy is back. Okay, so Nuked Piggy, you are up. Please select one of those 3 options. Nuked Piggy selects with a cup of tea and an early bedtime. With a nice chamomile and a pleasant feeling of accomplishment, not to mention a good night's sleep. Monday morning comes too soon, though, as it always does, especially after a weekend spent working. You pass the morning at your desk, trying to review documents and nursing a cup of bitter, nasty break room coffee. You do receive a note from Stone. You may have a future at this firm. See that it is a good one. But after the weekend you've had, you can't summon the strength to care. Cass drops by in the early afternoon. Gods, Lord Voldemort, I missed you. The rest of the office can go hang, but my cousin's family sure are boring. Aren't you part of your cousin's family? She laughs. Maybe that's the problem. So, she says, what happened while I was away? And Aqua Lightning, you have the choice. Select one of those 4 options. Aqua Lightning selects. You almost got us in trouble. Your gut tightens, but hells, you should have expected this. You weren't around, and we almost got in trouble. I asked you to cover for me. You don't answer that. You don't think she's looking for an answer. I thought... She shrugs. I thought we didn't have to be like Vega and Stone and the rest of them, but looks like you're learning the wrong lessons. She turns to go. I'll see you later. Wow, that kind of hurts. You lean back in your chair, spin around to... You lean back in your chair and spin around to stare out the window over the rolling Greatwater. Peaking waves spark and glitter in the sunlight, only to disappear like bits of glass falling through a beam of light. Falling into darkness. And also falling into darkness is this episode. Ha ha ha! I got my cliffhanger. So we will resume, or actually we will conclude Choice of the Deathless next week. So if you are watching this on Hitbox, please join us again. I will keep the rotation, and that also ended nicely since the end of the rotation ended the episode, which was cool. So I will keep that, and hopefully we can resume where we left off, or we will resume where we left off next week. 8 p.m. Eastern, be sure to come. If you are watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching, and if you are watching this on, I guess it'd be May 31st, remember, this episode goes up at 4 p.m., the stream is at 8 p.m., so if you're watching this on YouTube, you still have time. Join us every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We do more and more audience interaction. I chat with you guys. It's fun. It's a blast. Come join us every week. Remember, you can pick this game up on Steam for $3. Link for that is in the video description as well if you don't want to wait next week, or wait until next week for the conclusion. But we will conclude next week. Although for now, if you're watching this on Hitbox, we will have a short after party. If you are watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching so much, and I will see you next week for another stream.